The thing about stories is that we want to share them with as many... Okay, wait, there is another way mysteries can be shared. And there's a reason it's not here. So, moving on. Wait, you're interested? Well, you did play the video, so... Look, I won't stop you. I keep it over here. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, here. Right where it belongs. This last way is actually a cruel blend of the other three. Like, think of locks and keys. You find the locks and the keys to go with them. Normally, the keys are logical steps of information, or clues, or, straight up keys. But sometimes the keys are obtuse. Maybe they don't look like keys, or it isn't clear they're connected to locks, something like that. Then there's words and insight. Maybe you'd ask around for clues, hints, guidance, something from the other characters inhabiting the world. And instead of assistance, you get the runaround. Obfuscation, riddles, a demand that you read between the lines when you can't actually see the lines themselves. And investigation and learning? It devolves into pixel hunting, frantically clicking every minuscule square of imagery on the screen to find something, anything you might have missed, grasping for that revelatory, aha, I see it now, that you accidentally blew past. You must have. There's no way the solution would be buried this deep, this strangely, this... Ugh. Yeah. Sometimes the mystery is shared with you, like it or not, through bullshit and chicanery. Locks and keys? No. You get ducks and cats. These mysteries are perpetuated by things that don't look like keys being used on things that don't look like locks. This isn't just trying to jam baby's first teething keys into a Schlage deadbolt, because those things still functionally connect. It's just the wrong key for the wrong lock. Think more abstract. A connection that necessitates wide leaps in logic and rationality, designed to pad an experience for longer than it should be, than it needs to be, than it has any right being. Take The Longest Journey with me. As art student April Ryan, parallel universes beg to be explored, conversations with their denizens await to understand both worlds. But in order to do that, you have to complete the first couple chapters. And therein lies that God-forsaken duck. Alright, follow along here. You need a key for reasons. The key is on a subway rail blocked by a live, high-voltage wire, so you can't just hop down and grab it. You need to, cut off the power for a moment? Find an insulated outfit to keep from being electrocuted? Get a magnet to draw the key up? There's no indication of what to do at the subway. No one would think to factor in the blue rubber duck in the canal below April's apartment from earlier. But it's not as easy as pulling the duck up or reaching down from lower. It's trapped under a wire grill, so that complicates things. Maybe there's a kayak upriver to get closer to... You sly dog, you got me logicking. You have to go to April's workplace and take a loaf of bread. You have to return to April's apartment and throw the bread as little chunks onto the rubber duck, where a nearby peckish seagull swoops down for an easy snack. As they peck at the bread, they also jostle the rubber duck loose, which floats away, allowing the grill to drop beneath the canal. Don't leave yet, though. Make sure you raise the freed chain and snag the nasty clothesline at the end. God help you if you forget the clothesline. Leave the apartment to watch the duck floating away. Follow it to April's workplace, where it's come to rest on some metal bars. Now take the duck, but also examine the duck. See that nasty bandage? Take it. You can reinflate the duck with your mouth, and it will slowly deflate over a few seconds. Don't worry about the biohazardous implications of the duck that lived in the Green Canal. It's probably fine. Anyway, go back to the subway, get out the clothesline, attach it to the clamp. Wait, oh crap, we forgot the clamp. Okay, leave the subway, go back through the city, get back to April's apartment, but don't go in. Solve the water volume puzzle to the left, then take the clamp. Cross the bridge, cross the city, get back to the subway track, and now attach the clothesline to the clamp. Then reinflate the duck, attach the clamp clothesline to the duck, which holds the clamp open, lower the duck clamp clothesline toward the key, and as the duck deflates, the clamp closes around the key, bring the duck clamp clothesline back up, take the key, and now figure out what lock that goddamn key goes in. Simple. But where there's a duck, there's a cat. In this particular situation. In Gabriel Knight 3, Blood of the Sacred, Blood of the Damned, the titular Gabriel Knight is on the case against a new wave of supernatural forces threatening humanity. But first, he needs a ride. Unfortunately, the moped rental shop will only rent out to members of the local tour group. Can we convince the rental worker to make an exception? Convince a tour worker to help us out? Find a more accessible means of travel? Nah, let's do the most instead. Go back to the hotel lobby Gabriel is staying at. Swipe some candy and a marker. Go upstairs, lay out the candy under a painting. Return to the lobby. Call room 33, where Gabriel's acquaintance Mosley is staying. Mosley, you see, is part of the tour group. Once Mosley leaves his room, follow him around the bend. He's enamored with the candy, and as he bends over to pick up a dropped wrapper, you can swipe his passport so Gabriel can draw a mustache on the passport. The 90s were such a simple time. Anyway, then you flit back to Mosley's room, steal his gold jacket, go to a local museum, swipe a baseball cap from the Lost and Found, then go to the church cemetery. Here, Gabriel meets a black cat. He pets the cat zips through a hole in an old door. Using a roll of tape that Gabriel hopefully picked up a while ago, he'll wait for the cat to return to a nearby wall, line the door hole with tape, spritz the cat with a spray bottle, spook it back inside where its fur will catch on the tape, ripping off a chunk of the animal's fur, and absolutely triggering every PETA representative in a 100-mile radius. Head back towards the rental shack, throw on the baseball cap, the gold jacket, and slap some Continental breakfast syrup on the fur tape. You did take the Continental breakfast syrup packet earlier, didn't you? And there you have it. A dead ringer from Mosley, give or take a couple of creative liberties with the passport photo. The rental owner passes off the keys, and the game continues. But why? This isn't just a lock and a key. This is a lock that you have to feed several disparate keys into at the same time in a particular order in order to unlock it. These are contorted, twisted puzzles convincing themselves they're clever when they're just convoluted Rube Goldberg machines we're stumbling around trying to figure out how to make work. And that's not fun, it's not fulfilling, it's not rewarding in any meaningful way. And while we're at it, you want words and insight? Screw you, here's trial and error. Picture this, you're on a quest in space for the 5th time. Space Quest 5, if you will. The last leg of Roger Wilco's latest galactic romp, trying to prevent the vile pucoids from infecting all of space. In a desperate bid to reverse their mutation, Roger must sneak through the maintenance ducts of the starship Goliath. No problem, you say. I'll just consult the map that Roger no doubt found on his way to the ducts, or that one of his crewmates definitely had on hand for him. But that would be so unbecoming of this section. No, Space Quest 5 expects you to blindly stumble your way through the twisting guts of the massive research vessel until you find the ladder to the next level. And for as slow as Roger crawls, it's not a fun time. Now, if you don't have time to explore every square inch of the maintenance tunnels, don't worry. Once you enter the maze, go north, east, north, north, then up the ladder. Go north, then go back to the ladder and up another level. South, west, north, north, east, north, north, go up another ladder, north again, back to the ladder, up again, south, west, 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 north, north, west, west, north, north, up another ladder, then south, southwest, southeast, and south. That sounds fun to figure out on your own, doesn't it? But there's another 5th outing in King's Quest V. Throughout, medieval hijinks ensue, puzzles are solved, and progress is made to save Castle Daventry from the wicked wizard Mordak. But, you have to make sure you save the rat. Yeah, that rat, and it's dead. No exaggeration, you are shit out of luck now. You'll find that unless you have multiple save files, you'll be locked out of progressing, all because of that rat. You see, you need the rat to free you from your restraints after you're captured by some ne'er-do-wells. No rat, no freedom, no progress. To save the rat, you have to ward off the cat chasing it. Maybe you can throw something at it. You've collected a bunch of stuff by now, but if you throw it, you're not getting it back. So whatever you do, don't throw the ant, you threw the fish. Now you can't get rid of the bear to get the stick to save the ants from the dog and get the golden needle later in the game. Anyway, find a shoe and throw it at the cat before it kills the rat, ignore the screams of PETA from wherever they lurk, and the rat will shower you with praise so you can be free from your bonds and find some other way to die later. And that makes as much sense as anything from an overhead view. But how would the average player figure that out while they're playing it? What indication does the game make to imply, overtly or subtly, that the rat is necessary to proceed? It doesn't. Like so many other things, players have to do long-form trial and error without knowing how far down items or choices have ripples. Last stop, investigation and learning? Fuck you. Here's... Sure. King's Quest. Not story-related, but still, it exists and it makes me grumpy. Gnome challenges you to guess his name. Rumpelstiltskin comes to mind, but no, you must think backwards challenges the hint in a witch's gingerbread house. Fine, so Nickstiltslepmer? Nay, King's Quest wants you to reverse the entire alphabet, so A becomes Z and vice versa, so you get Ethan Cove Grochperm. Yes, great, fine. Grim Fandango. You have to find clues laid out all over the city to make a counterfeit betting slip to move on. But those elements are blink and you miss it. Easy to miss in a vibrant, colorful world, a trail of breadcrumbs so faint that it's easy to lose track of. Just make a ticket for week 2, Tuesday, race 6, and get on with it. Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. There's a pump by a waterfall that you need to turn off. An ounce of logic would dictate finding a tool, a toolbox, something to barter for, steal, or borrow, but no. You have to find a monkey playing a piano, lure the monkey away with a banana, then use the monkey on the pump because it's a monkey wrench and... The mysteries covered in the main video are themselves mysteries. Trying to piece together what the next logical step is, trying to understand the world around you, trying to pick up on that game-changing piece of information invisible at a passing glance. They are satisfying in their delivery, the sensation they strive to make you feel. Puzzles, additionally, make sense. They have rules. There's an unspoken agreement between the game and its players that the way the pieces will fit together will make sense. The jigsaws and the images they show will make logical sense. With these games, the mystery is purely in progress itself. How the hell do I move on to the next section? What do I need to do now to keep the game moving? These mysteries create a cage, whether pixelated, cel-shaded, or remastered, where we bang our heads against the bars, screaming for any sense of progress, only for the key to fall from the ceiling as we hit our heads in just the right place, with just the right force, holding just the right item you would not expect to function in this way. We stumble out, concussed and dazed, right into an adjacent cage. The cycle starts over again. The actual mystery is in how long we can put up with that kind of treatment before we reach the limits of our patience, our sanity, even at the expense of missing out on a great, entertaining story. And these examples are absolutely a discussion about being products of their times. Games were made by fewer people with fewer resources, and there were simply fewer games on the market. Developers had to make these experiences last, and new content required time and resources that they may not have had. But if you make the puzzles obtuse, give players the runaround, bury the solution so deep it would take hours to find it, now you don't have to make new content. You just had to make what you had last, even if you did so through, bullshit and chicanery. The joy of a mystery is in discovery, in uncovering the truth, in gleaning how you can proceed through logic, experimentation, and deduction. But these mysteries seem to relish in the struggle, in grinding our faces into a wall just to make us crawl towards a helpline or a walkthrough just to make progress. Mysteries only work as well as they do because there are reasonable steps between stumbling upon the questions and the answers behind them all. By taking away those natural stepping stones, these mysteries of bullshit and chicanery ask you to wade through the waters to the other end, with no telling how strong the current is, how deep the channel is, how hungry the denizens within are, or how much of the mystery before you may have to replay if you don't do this part exactly right. And that's some real chicanery if I ever heard of it. To tie it up with a high note, this did get me thinking about who might benefit the most from these kinds of quote-unquote mysteries, who they're best for. Surprisingly, I think the answer is kids. Consider the humongous entertainment library. Putt-Putt, Pajama Sam, Freddi Fish, all point-and-click adventures in their own right, all with their own item-based puzzles to solve in order to progress. But where the mysteries I mentioned take place across grand vistas, parallel worlds, and the vastness of space, humongous games keep things comparably focused within smaller worlds and with plenty of guideposting. There's not as much room to get lost in, as it were. As older players, we can look back on those games' puzzles and solutions and think, bah, trivial matters, simple puzzles. But to a kid, that's a brain teaser with an answer rooted in reality that reinforces important knowledge. Oil loosens up rusted metal. Wood floats. Magnets attract metal. These are all logical steps towards in-game solutions that also contribute to cementing universal physical and scientific truths. In essence, young players are encountering a mystery on their level, the solutions for which can, or will, reinforce a foundation for future knowledge. Further, their puzzling complexity grows with time. The gadgets in Spy Fox look like one thing while performing some neat subterfuge. Cufflinks with suction cups, X-ray gum, a laser toothbrush, forcing players to think just outside the box, recognizing the function outside the appearance in order to progress. In a sense, by making these smaller mysteries simpler with more reasonable solutions for a different audience, they serve a unique constructive purpose, reinforcing core knowledge and information. And it all comes back to progress. The humongous games are made up of smaller objectives within the main objective. Recover 3 pieces of superhero gear to confront darkness. Rescue 5 baby animals to open the zoo. Find the 4 messages in bottles to track down the missing kelp seed. You're not just inching along on a set path of the main arc, you get the satisfaction of tangibly completing or solving part of the main objective, discovering how to move forward. But that dovetails into the next point. Effective mysteries use those stepping stones as a tool to keep sleuths on the trail. The thing about mysteries and stories is that we want to share them with as many people as possible.
What did you say that thing was called?
That's a geyser.
A what?
A geyser. It's kind of a hot spring that spurts up water and steam every so often. It works kind of like a coffee percolator. Water in passages deep down where the rocks are hot gets heated up to the point where it would normally turn into steam, except it doesn't because of the pressure of all the other water on top of it. So it gets really hot and it expands and it pushes some of the colder water out of the top. That relieves the pressure and all of a sudden the hot water turns into steam and pow! It erupts out along with all the colder water on top. Then more water flows down into the deep passages and the whole thing starts all over again. Most geysers are located in Wyoming, New Zealand, or Iceland. The word geyser originated in Iceland from their word gyosa, meaning gush. Geysers are usually very unpredictable about when they erupt. The most famous exception is a geyser called Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, which erupts every 64 minutes, give or take about 3 minutes. It looks like this one goes off a lot more often than that.
Thanks a lot, Otto.